love with social work. Okay, I don't know if it was the professor or the students or just whatever, the whole dynamic of the social work program, of the people in the program, of the work. It was more natural to me. It felt more natural. Studying didn't feel like a headache. Talking. It was just natural. So then I felt like, okay, this is what I want to do. So then from then on, it was just social work. I changed my major to social work and my minor was psychology. And I knew from that point on, I'm going to be a social worker. I didn't know at that time, though, that I wanted to be a therapist. At that time, I just thought I wanted to be just an LSW with a bachelor's degree in social work. Well, actually, so yeah, at that time, I just wanted to be a CSW. That comes before the LSW when you're just certified. And then after that, I decided to go into the master's program. I took a year off. I went to the master's program, and then I got my LSW, and that's when I knew I wanted to be a therapist. At that point.
Okay. So we're gonna keep on this backstory. So going to Rutgers for undergrad, you stay at Rutgers for your MSW program.
Yeah.
I know you just told us therapy, but was there ever any consideration for another track, the MAP program, or it was always going to be that clinical for you?
I was stuck in between in the very beginning when you had to choose your track of what you wanted to go to. I was stuck in between clinical and nonprofit routes because part of me wanted to open up my own nonprofit. But I think speaking to an advisor, one of the advisors, she told me, why don't you just do clinical, Iesha? Because once you do clinical, you can always go back and open up your nonprofit. She said, do clinical because once you're doing clinical, that's the broad spectrum and you can make it, tune it for you. You can end up working in the agency or open up your private practice or open up a nonprofit, all within that same clinical track. So I feel like when I first entered in, I had the mind of, okay, I'm going to open up a private practice, a nonprofit and just run that. But then it changed for me. And then I said, okay, I'm going to stick to this clinical route and see where it takes me. I didn't know where it would have taken me at this point.
Yes. And even though you misspoke, you spoke truly when so it's a lot of people in MSW program want to open their private practice, right? There is that you hear that very, very commonly as we're progressing through our classes, right? So you get through grad school, right? And you find Project 99. Could you talk about, some of your experiences and your development while you were there?
So before I hit on that, I want to mention that while I was in the MSW program, my internship was Boys and Girls Club of Newark. So I interned at Boys and Girls Club for a year in their social work department. Now, for me, that was a little daunting because their social work department did not exist. I was their social work department. I was their first intern, their first social worker. Mind you, I'm a student, so I can't really say I'm a social worker. But I was it. I was it. They didn't hire, a social worker at that time to be over me. So I had to go somewhere else at an agency called FIS, which is a nonprofit agency, Family Intervention Services. They had a partnership with Boys and Girls Club. So I had to go there for supervision. So while I was at Boys and Girls Club, though, I was by myself. So in hindsight, I feel like that kind of pushed me now to be confident in this field and know that I can run something by myself.
Gotcha.
But at the time, I was a student, so I'm like, oh, you want me in charge of this department and you want me to run therapy? You want me to do groups and individual therapy for these kids? And it was kids ranging from like 6 all the way to like 17. So I'm like, oh my gosh. But I feel like that internship, it prepared me for Project 99. So they hired me right away because at that time I had already graduated school, but so I didn't have any experience besides Boys and Girls Club. And then before that, I was a social worker at a nursing home. So the little internship that I thought was little in my mind turned out to be something huge, because that turned out to be like my backing to be like, okay, to put that on my resume, that I was the only person in that department to run the social work department of Boys and Girls Clubs. So now interview for Project 99, they were like, oh, sure, of course we want you. So I was like, okay, but deep down I was like, okay, I'm still scared though, because now Project 99 is in-home work. So now I got to travel to homes, you know, in and out of different homes. And you know how that could be, different environments, different people. So I feel like Project 99, that experience shaped me to have experience with different populations, different classes of families, different races of families, different, you know, socioeconomic statuses of families, and be more versed in various problems. Because you'd be surprised, Chris, that even though we may not look the same, a lot of us have the same problems. And that's what